Men like that should be left in a room with a loaded pistol. Men like that are not to be trusted. Men like that cause decay in society. Now, this was a common thread of assumptions about homosexual men during the First World War, after the First World War, during the 20s and 30s. And this is the world of the film Benediction, directed by Terence Davies. It's a world that we can only shudder at the thought of. You've got to realise that these men in the film are the creme de la creme of society, either creatives or aristocrats. These people have enormous privilege, but they're criminals, and they live as criminals live, under the radar, in enemy territory, constantly dissembling, never trusting anybody. So inevitably, as this film suggests, their sexual relationships are fleeting. They may talk in very flowery language and, of course, make love beautifully, but it doesn't last because it's not meant to last, because we're not decent people. And decent people get married, have children, have grandchildren. So this is the background of Benediction. Benediction, the title, relates to the Roman Catholic Church, which does feature in this film because it's about the World War I poet Siegfried Sassoon, who is deeply in love with someone who is essentially a mirage, an image. It's an unrequited love. And this basically infuses his other relationships, one of which is with the composer Ivor Novello, who was the most famous composer in Britain during the First World War and thereafter. And he is presented in the most unflattering light, as are some of his other partners. There are sympathetic homosexual men in the film. One of them is Glenn Byam Shaw, who was Novello's lover, and he becomes briefly Sassoon's lover. The world that they live in is exciting, colourful, slightly decadent. The music is jazz, ragtime, the Charleston. It was a period, of course, of hedonistic madness after the horror of the First World War. All these aspects, all these colours are beautifully conveyed in Benediction. It's such a layered piece. It's 2.5 hours long, and I didn't begrudge one single minute. I went to see it, and I went to see it again, and I'm planning to see it a third time. This is part of cultural history. And what I like about the film is that these famous people like Ottoline Morrell and Robbie Ross, who was the friend of Oscar Wilde, are presented as flesh and blood human beings. It's a very relaxed film in many ways. The one real stain on it for modern audiences, particularly modern gay male audiences, is its presentation of homosexual relationships. Be warned, it's not pleasant. There are some things in it which are not acceptable today. We like to think that gay relationships are just as good as, G-A-Y, gay, good as you. But in this film, they're not. But then what are the alternatives? And we see one of the alternatives in the film, and that's not pleasant either. It's a compromise. And eventually the person who has compromised runs into the arms of Mother Church for a benediction. I do urge you to see this film. I think it's Terence Davies' finest film, and this is a man that's avowedly gay, but avowedly a celibate gay. He does not have gay sexual relations, and he was dating briefly and fled, as you would if you took Benediction's characters as an assembly line of gay males. Beautifully done, beautifully measured. The pace is beautifully measured. There's a scene at the beginning with a psychiatrist, which I think is absolutely classic. Two males, both leading secret lives. And we hope today that people are less secret, but can we, the original outlaws, trust that life is always going to be secure for us? Are we always perhaps looking over our shoulder? Are we a bit slow to trust, trying to be witty and a bit ironic and a little bit cynical so that we're not hurt? And this is very much in Benediction, that the sensitivity of this wonderful Siegfried Sassoon is cauterized by the experiences he has and the fact that he's not able to have what he sees as this pure love with Wilfred Owen. The poetry is divine, the photography scintillating. Benediction, you must go and see it.